back to the show.
Combo, what's up, man? Let's have some fun. Let's talk some ball. Thanks for coming on Beyond the Surface about a week ago, man. We all had a blast with that.
I had so much fun. I was firing off takes, and you guys were as well.
I mean, we a little football, hockey came up, baseball came up. It was a sports debate show adventure, is what it was. But we had a blast having you on, man. So, what shirt are you wearing here?
5-star, man. Vintage 5-star basketball camp. You know what I mean?
I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And thanks for having me on your show. And when I was on your show, let me know when you need me back. I'm always available for you, Rick. When I was on your show, you were talking about the Spurs, and I have to ask you, why do you think the Spurs will win the 2026 NBA championship?
A few reasons. They have the best five in ball to me. When you put the four guards with Wemby, I'll take that five against anybody. We'll take y'all on. With Harper, on the court with Castle, with Fox, and with Vassell, and then of course Wemby, who's two bigs for the price of one. Hell, he's like three players for the price of one. I understand that I am predicting something that's never happened, something that probably will never happen, that the Spurs are going to go from a non-playoff team to winning the championship. Have stranger things happened? Not that many, but it's so wide open this year, Combo, and so I love what the Spurs got. They got depth beyond that. But OKC to me is super vulnerable because they haven't been together all year. Caruso's been out. Hartenstein's been out. Obviously, J-Dub's been out. SGA had his little, 10, 12 game period where he had that ab thing right around the All-Star break. And obviously they're still record-wise the best team in ball, but I don't know, man. A title defense is already really, really tough, and you need a lot of stuff to go your way. And they're winning, and their depth is incredible with A.J. Mitchell and guys like that, and Jalen Williams, but I don't know. Combo, we may be talking 2-3 months from now, and I was so wrong about OKC to ever doubt them, but I'm kind of low-key doubting them right now. So I got the Spurs winning it over the Celtics.
So the Spurs beat OKC 3 times, and on top of that, Wemby wasn't even his full version. He's been playing better lately, and he won't be on a minutes restriction.
Correct, yeah. 4-1 overall against OKC, which it's one of those things, Combo, where we've seen it before. A team sweeps another team in the regular season. They play in the playoffs, and it's a reverse sweep of what? We're like, what? How'd that happen? So we see that stuff where the regular season means absolutely nothing. But these are Titans. These are two of the great teams in our game. If we can't analyze what we see in a regular season game, and it's not like we're drawing strict conclusions from it, but you analyze it and you form opinions on it. And to not do that, what the hell are we here for? Do you know why are they playing the games? Do you know what I'm saying? So, but Wemby to me, Combo, is the biggest killer in the NBA. I do not believe that anybody in the NBA wants to win as badly as Victor Wembanyama. I don't believe that anybody in the league is torn up about a loss as badly as Wemby is. I want Anthony Edwards to get more of that. Get serious. Get pissed off. Okay? Get mad. Get nasty. I love him, but he's a little bit too aloof for me. He's a little bit too, young and kind of bouncy and freewheeling. No, it's like Wemby, what is he, 22, 23? The guy's got the competitiveness of like a 35-year-old Udonis Haslem, and I love it.
With Wemby, if you're telling me he's the biggest killer in the NBA, he's definitely the most talented player in the NBA. I was thinking about this earlier. Like, when I was younger, if I was creating an NBA player on Live or 2K, like, this is the guy you would create, and he has things that you couldn't even imagine on top of that. So if you're telling me he's the biggest killer on top of being the most talented player I've ever seen, I mean, that's a dangerous combination for the league.
And I think the Wemby dynasty starts this year. And Combo, I think you probably see championships for him eventually. And if it's not this year, it'll be next year. And what we might have here, the most underrated rivalry in NBA history for me is Kobe's Lakers against Duncan's Spurs. It's not talked about enough. They played a bunch, both won 5 in that same little pocket of time. Great window for the NBA. And I could see San Antonio and OKC a little bit like the Lakers and Celtics in the 80s, your turn, my turn. Because I don't think OKC's done winning chips either. But, so I don't know if the Spurs win 3 in a row or anything like that. But they're 2 in the West, a legit championship contender right now. We've seen OKC kind of defy the experience thing. I think they won a championship well ahead of schedule based on combo what we know to be decade past, the experience you've got to have. Like, you couldn't beat Isaiah's Pistons or Jordan's Bulls or Bird's Celtics without being experienced in season. You couldn't be an upstart team and even compete with those guys, but it's different now.
Yeah, I would also say that, somebody on the show, shouts to Cortez, a friend of mine who was on the show, was telling me, the Spurs Wemby has not been through enough adversity. How Jordan was with the Pistons. But I would also look back to the Olympics, and Wemby was pretty upset with that. That might have been his adversity, that he's going to hone in and take in and destroy the rest of the league with that kind of motivation.
Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. When was Wemby more pissed off? When 2 All-Star games ago, Alpi Şengün missed the defensive assignment and Wemby's team lost, and Wemby was super pissed about that in the worst All-Star game of all time. And then, or how he felt when France lost to Night.
I'll tell you what he hated even more than all of that, Ray. Even more than all of that. When Chet won the 19U MVP.
And he still carries that grudge every time they play, right?
Yeah, he tries to destroy Chet.
He really
Chet's
does.
a great player. Chet should probably get more credit. We'd be looking at Chet like the unicorn if there was no Wemby. He'd probably get a lot more credit if there was no Wemby,
It's a good point, man. You know what I love about Chet? Just a quick point.
All good.
I will never, ever doubt a guy because of his frame again. You remember the talk about Chet. He's too, and I was part of it. All you got to do is attack the chest and cave in the big, and, but he's held up well. He's a champion and all this kind of stuff. Wemby came into the league. All these questions about body type, body size. Is he too skinny? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, those two guys have changed kind of how I evaluate players coming out. Like, yeah, you're super skinny. Okay, so what? What's your skill level? If your skill level's incredible, I want you on my team. The NBA is all about skill right now. And it's obviously, you want some muscle, but I'd rather have a guy be lean than a guy be super doughy like pre-exit Dallas Luka. Remember, you couldn't even see, bro, do you even have a bicep? Where is it? I can't see it.
Speaking of Luka, I feel like there's mental contagion with the hate around Luka. About 2 weeks ago, it was crazy. I was even getting into the comments like, why is just everybody copying each other's takes that Luka's falling off as a basketball player? Now I'm hearing nothing.
How could he be falling off as a basketball player? I mean, he's sucked on defense the whole time. So it's like,
right.
Okay, wash, rinse, repeat. He's the best offensive player in the NBA right now, to me. And, you mentioned talent with, I mean, I got to, he's Wemby. I got to give it to you, right? We've never seen a combination of skill set like this ever. I mean, the last game, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 5 threes. What the fuck, dude? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, and that's just a normal game for him. Like, that's like an all-timer for Brook Lopez, who is a very good 3-ball block shot guy, right? Mm-hmm. But I bet Brook Lopez doesn't have too many 4-2-5 games. I forget my point. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
The biggest concern for me with the Spurs is not battling through past adversity. It's actually the shooting. Every time I do watch Julian Champagny play, it feels like he shoots 70% from 3, but the stats are only saying 30. But sometimes when I watch them, they do lack a little bit of that gravitational pull around Wemby. Wemby's hitting more now, but I do feel like that's going to be a big X factor for them going into the playoffs, the shooting.
Well, I gave you the best 5 in ball, in my opinion, and I don't know if the analytics stack up to that. It probably doesn't. Harper's not a 3-baller. And Stephon Castle's hit and miss with the 3-ball. De'Aaron Fox is hit and miss with the 3-ball. Devin Vassell's pretty reliable, but but I don't know where that fits. To me, like, Castle and Harper just got to get a stroke. You know what I mean? They just got to develop that 3-ball because their size, their defensive ability, their IQs, their motor and competitiveness. I mean, the Spurs nailed both of those picks. I freaking love both of those players. And over time, hopefully they can get to 36, 37, 38%, maybe above, but they ain't there right now.
Harper, he feels like the guy that could explode in the playoffs because at times he doesn't get the opportunity, maybe like he would on a Hornets or the Mavs, like his contemporaries with Khan and Cooper. We'll get to the Rookie of the Year picks in a second, but I feel like in the playoffs, he's a guy that could change everything because he's just so talented. I think on another team, we'd be looking at him as a franchise guy, but he's just playing with Wemby at this point,
There's no question. He's a franchise changing guy. Like if he was on a bad team right now, he'd be cooking. He'd be 25-5 100%. And some fat stat line and all that kind of stuff. So, but again, the Wemby dynasty, it's not just him. I mean, I love Stephon Castle. I mean, I love that basketball player. He's just so about it, right? He's serious. He's rocked up. I mean, he's so athletic and strong. And Cason Wallace is a totally different player, but in one way, they've struck me both the same way. First time I ever watched Cason Wallace in an NBA game, I was like, damn. Like, he just acts like he's been here for 8 years. And I feel like that with Dylan Harper, like how he plays angles, how he attacks the rim and takes contact and finishes. It's like big boy stuff, like adult stuff. And Dylan Harper is just kind of messing around, and it's already like a matter of fact thing for him. So what a win for them to get the deuce in the draft. Are you kidding me? And I legitimately think that there's a debate between Harper, Edgecombe, Khan, and Flagg for the best player going forward and who you would pick. I think you could make a good case for all four of those guys. Tough to pass on Flagg, but it's tough to pass on Edgecombe. Yeah. If you don't love BJ Edgecombe, the basketball's not for you.
All right, let me ask you this. Who would you build your franchise around if you could only build around one of these players? Steph Castle, Dylan Harper, or Con Knipple?
Castle.
Why so?
I feel like we might have another like Kawhi Leonard type of guy in Castle because he's got the big bod, two-way guy. The skill is gonna come. He's not Michael Kidd Gilchrist out there, with all of this. I mean, like the skill's gonna come. I'm sorry, MKG just caught it straight, but it's an incredibly tough call for me between Harper and Castle, not Khan. And I love Khan. Khan is a one-way player, and he's not a playmaker. He's a decent playmaker for a two-guard, not terrible at it. But, I don't think he'll ever be like a 25-5 guy. It's like more like a 25-3 guy. And that's cool because his percentages are going to be unbelievable. He's a guy that you can win with, Combo, but you got to have the right guys around him. You got to have wing defenders around Khan. Otherwise, other teams are just going to pigeon him and eat him up. And that's not going to happen with Harper and Castle. They're going to be able to carry their water on both ends of the floor. So that would be my breakdown there. Harper's shot has been a little disappointing. I got to be honest with you. Like I thought you'd come to the league with a little. I mean, what's his 3 percentage? It's pretty miserable. Last I saw, like kind of not even on the radar. So for that reason, I'll go Castle.
I like that. All right, who's the greatest center to ever live?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. And I don't. Combo, something I've noticed doing a hit with you on your show and when you came over with us. You mentioned Stockton as one of your Mount Rushmore top 5 point guards. I wouldn't have him. He's in my top 10, certainly, but I wouldn't have him that high because of the lack of a championship. So what I've ascertained is I'm more of a resume guy. You're more of a ball guy because you were a player, big time player, 10 years overseas in your whole career. So I'm looking at it from the media perspective. You're looking at it from the ball player perspective, where it's less about how many rings, how many All-Stars, how many points, how many rankings. It's about what you did and more the eye test than the stat test. And me and so many former ball player analysts me and Antonio Daniels on NBA radio, I called it the intersection of ball player boulevard and media member avenue or something like that. Like, we're just not going to see eye to eye. It's the player versus media thing. So that's my take on that. But those were good times with Antonio on NBA radio, man.
Yeah, I think throughout the course of your career, if you do play basketball, you're going to be a bench player, you're going to be a starter, and you're going to be a star. And my experience being a star was that if the supporting cast wasn't good enough, it did not matter how great I was. We were not going to be a championship team. So I think sometimes we place too much stock when it comes to individual rankings into team success.
Look, and again, I'm more sort of black and white about it. You know, like if I'm comparing, say, Karl Malone and Dirk Nowitzki, and then let's throw Kevin Garnett in there, right? How do you determine who's higher? Because, you know, I've got my top 10 rankings, and go ahead.
That's a little different. I'll tell you why. Because Dirk's chip was one of the most defining chips ever. Because because the supporting cast wasn't as good. So you're kind of speaking to what I'm saying a little bit, you know?
Yep.
That's why I like Cade over SGA. But to me, SGA just has the better team. He actually improved this year, so that takes it getting a little outdated. SGA has gotten so much better even this year. But my thing is like Dirk's chip was so defining. I'm not mad at anybody using that one particularly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the point is, like, KG, Dirk, and Garnett are incredibly hard to determine who's 2, who's 3, who's 4. So how I do it, I just kind of numerize it. And it comes down to All-Stars, All-NBAs, MVP awards, other awards, championships, where you rank, right? In total points, total rebounds, total assists, total blocks, total steals. I'm a nerd that way. But it's if you're into it, it's a good way to evaluate overall resumes of these GOATs. And so I've got KG 2, I've got Dirk 3, and I've got Malone 4. And I do not have Charles Barkley, my friend, in my Mount Rushmore. Peter, how could you not have Barkley in there? Well, his counting numbers don't stack up to those other 3 guys, and he doesn't have a championship. Okay? Carl's up there because his counting numbers are incredible, but he doesn't have a championship. And also all the All-NBAs and all the All-Stars. I mean, it's just an unbelievable resume, but it's incomplete. So to me, that's the decider between Dirk, KG, and Karl and Charles take an L because they don't have a chip.
Who's greater, Jokic or Shaq?
Again, Jokic. I don't think it's debatable. Shaq, the dominance, the intimidation, bullying. And he bullied people the right way, right? Not this bullshit Draymond Green way where you're attacking Colin Gillespie and you're freaking choking out Gobert and stomping on Sabonis to a tune of a broken record. I mean, what are we doing here, bro? This is the sign of a washed player and the rope is slipping through his hand. I'm going down. I mean, stop it, dude. But yeah, no, Shaq did it the right way, right? Dunking on Dudley, nutmegging him, and then shoving him into the photographers. I mean, that's just good, clean fun. That's just Shaq being, nobody got hurt, okay? So anyway, but Jokic to me, we had Chris Marlowe on the podcast today. So to me, Nikola Jokic is the most skilled center ever. To me, Nikola Jokic has the best touch ever of any player. Right hand, left hand. I mean, when the guy's below the free throw line, he does not miss. He doesn't ever miss. Shaq's resume, though, right now is better than Jokic's. Well, hold on a second. Yeah, I got to give Shaq the nod. Shaq's got 4 chips and 1 MVP. To this day, he's still pissed about that. I want to see Shaq and Steve Nash in the same room together. And I want somebody like a producer or a runner or somebody to say, hey, Steve, remember that time you won that MVP over Shaq? And Shaq will explode. Dude, Shaq is still pissed about Nash. And obviously he's placing his blame on the wrong people, right? But it's Shaq and it's just kind of humorous, right? So, and maybe he's just feigning, this irritation with Steve Nash, but I've been around him and I've heard him go off about. I don't really think it's not disingenuous. I think it's very genuine. But he's like, how in the hell could Steve Nash and so all that kind of stuff? I mean, Nash was incredible in that period with Phoenix, but Combo, I can tell you, Shaq is still mad that Nash robbed one of his MVPs. He's still pissed about that.
So the answer is Jokic.
The answer is Jokic.
Yeah. That's interesting.
The answer is Jokic. I mean, who would I rather have on my team? Jokic. Who do I think is the better basketball player? Jokic.
Who has better touch, though, Larry Bird or Jokic?
It's a great question.
Bird's underrated at this point. I don't care what people are putting.
Yeah, just not to us, just because the younger generation, just because they didn't watch him. Yeah,
a little before my time, but I used to watch a lot of it, like going back. But people have Steph Curry over Larry Bird. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, Rick.
No, I have Curry over Bird.
Oh my God, you're crazy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. He's got one more championship. His GOAT meter is higher than Larry Bird. When you combine championships, MVPs, and finals MVPs, he's the greatest shooter of all time, passing Bird as the previous greatest shooter of all time. And I don't love Larry Bird. I respect Larry Bird. I came up a Showtime Laker fan, so that was blasphemy what I just said right there. But I respect and admire Larry Bird, but I had to bounce Bird out of my top.
Oh, now it's coming. Okay, Showtime Laker fan. Now it's all coming together.
No, but I'm not fanboy with my rankings, but trust me, this was very controversial on NBA radio and on Mad Dog Sports Radio. People are like, how could you boot Bird, right? How could you? The numbers say that I had to boot Bird. How do I do my rankings? I base it on numbers. I'm going with numbers. Curry versus Bird. I'm being consistent here. But people hated it. They also hate it when I tell them that Emmitt Smith is bar none the greatest running back in NFL history.
That's a great take.
Thank you. But everybody says Barry Sanders.
Well, tell me why you think it's Emmitt Smith, because I'm actually working on something for this. So tell me more. Why is Emmitt Smith the greatest running back ever?
Resume.
Yeah.
His resume blows Barry Sanders' resume out of the water. Championships, MVPs, total yards, total statistics. What I would say, because people get it twisted, or maybe they don't, it's their opinion. So I don't want to say that they're getting it twisted. I just disagree. But what I'd say, Barry Sanders is the most talented running back in the history of football. I'll give him that. He retired after 10 years, Combo.
And
Dan
Marino's the most talented quarterback in the history of football.
I got to go with one of the two-way guys. I don't know if I can. When you talk, if you just say right arm and shoulder, I think I can rock with you. But if you just say most talented, now I got to look at your legs too. And then I'm starting to think of a guy like a Randall Cunningham, just in terms of talent, or Patrick Mahomes. In terms of talent, because Patrick Mahomes is way more talented than Tom Brady, in my opinion. The ability to run, all the different arm slots he's got. Brady's not an arm slot guy, right? He's not Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, these magicians with the football, right? He's absolutely phenomenal. He's the GOAT of NFL players in any position. I mean, I give it all to Tom Brady, but obviously it's execution, it's precision, it's all that stuff, the mental acumen. But just when you talk about talent, I mean, Brady's very high on the list, but not as high. I think Matt Stafford is a more talented thrower of the football than Tom Brady. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few guys more talented than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's the greatest winner at quarterback.
It's probably a little bit like the Bill Russell thing, right? There were like better overall centers, but damn, the guy's got 11.
Wilt was more talented than Bill.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's shift to some NBA awards, all right?